medication?
Yeah, I just remember the Gina Colada article in the New York Times, which was a big controversy at the time about the dosing of AZT, and it actually turned out my partner at the time was Robert Massa, who was the editor of the HIV editor at the Village Voice, and he wrote some of the most seminal articles at the beginning of that. He's passed away in 1994. But if you go back into the literature and you see the work that he wrote about that. And one of the stories he wrote about was about the misinformation of the report that the reporter had misrepresented in the New York Times. And it was a very, very, very controversial article. So, look, AZT provided a lifeline, right? Like a Band-Aid provides a lifeline, but a Band-Aid is going to deal with a cut, or a topical antibiotic is going to deal with an infection. It's not going to deal with sepsis, right? So it provided a lifeline. But it provided an entry point into thinking about the evolution of medications and the mechanism by which medications could work in controlling the virus. So, that medication eventually gave way to what became known in the mid-90s as HAART, highly active antiretroviral therapy, which was what we call ART now, by definition, the combination of different classes of HIV medications which could be developed in part because AZT was developed that would attack the virus from 3 different locations. And if you think about this as if we're thinking from an army metaphor, it's about you attack it from point A, from point B, and point C. And when that happened, all of a sudden the disease was transformed. One of the biggest evolutions that happened that allowed that to occur was the development of protease inhibitors. And protease inhibitors proved to be the most consequential pharmaceutical development in the maintenance and in the control of HIV. And look where we are today. Now we're using HIV medications to prevent HIV, not just to treat HIV.
Yeah, absolutely. And really looking at ART, I think it's one of the things where, as you'd mentioned, it's really the improvement of treatment from AZT. And can you kind of characterize, if you will, what that meant, and then, separately looking at where we stand today with the advancement of the latest treatments?
Yeah, it's so funny when I think about myself right now and I think about my medications every morning. One of them is my HIV med. And the rest of them are all like my old people meds, right? Like my cholesterol and my blood pressure and my vitamins and my calcium to make sure my bones stay strong. It's very, very bizarre. But the evolution was interesting, right? Because it's so simple right now, right? The delivery of HIV treatment is so simple because, one, it could be one pill once a day. It could be an injectable that you get every couple of months, which is absolutely incredible when you think about it, both as treatment and as prevention. But in 1996, at the beginning of the effective treatment, it was more complicated, right? So people were on these doses that you had to take with food, without food, with water, on an empty stomach at certain times of day. And that complication made it very difficult for people to adhere to the medications in a highly effective way. Many did. Right now, the evolution is such that it's extremely simple for you to be able to treat and control your HIV in a meaningful way. One pill once a day, one injection every 2 months. But it wasn't like that at the beginning. At the beginning, it was like, I remember people packing their medications to go on trips and trying to figure out calculators, not on their phones, because we didn't really have phones at that point, to figure out when they take their medications, when they go from New York to London and what have you. So it became this puzzle on how to continue to be healthy. But people were motivated. Many people were motivated. I want to say one more thing, though, in response to that, which is, for people who had the luxury to be motivated, right, it was possible. But that was not always the case. And there were people who were living with HIV who had other demands in their lives. They had addictions they were living with. They had children they were raising. They had poverty that was affecting their lives. And for those folks, adherence became a much bigger obstacle. That is why I'm so grateful that we've created systems that ease the delivery of medications to people right now, because it accounts for the complexity of people's lives. We still have a way to go. We still have disparities in the epidemic. We still have a population that is being inadvertently bombarded, in which are people living, sexual minority men, particularly sexual minority men of color. And I think these all indicate that we still have progress to make in the delivery of both prevention and care to the population.